So this is a little bit of a background about Hinduism in ancient India. As we go through this, you should be filling in your worksheet with about some of these notes about Hinduism. Understand that Hinduism is a very, very important religion in the world today. There are over 1 billion Hindus living in the world today, most of them in India. India is primarily Hindu. So some of the things that are important here, and feel free to pause this to fill in the notes. But first major religion is Hinduism. Has this basic belief of dharma, which means law, obligation, and duty. That everyone is to perform their duties and so to live as one should. So your one of the big main ideas about Hinduism is know your place in society and you're obligated to fulfill that duty. The Ramayana is a famous Hindu sacred text. It's actually more of a story than a text, and a lot of the Hindu beliefs are not necessarily written down in texts like we think of with the Bible or the Quran. A lot of them are stories that have been passed down all the way back to the Aryans, which you guys should have read about earlier in today's lesson. But it tells about life in ancient India and offers models about how you're to be obligated to this duty. This central figure is this person, Rama, who lives by the rules of Dharma. And he's a loyal son when he's young and then grows up to be a loving husband. Again, it's about your role in society. Now, there are four other basic beliefs: the Brahman, deities, karma, and samsara. And all of these things work together to make Hinduism. Understand it's a very old religion and it began all the way before recorded history. A lot of the beliefs, like I said, are passed down orally. They were spoken and then eventually written down. It wasn't really founded by one person. You know, we think of one person in a lot of the religions today with Muhammad and Islam, and you think of Jesus with Christianity and Abraham for Judaism. Now, these that's not the case with Hinduism at all. So one of the things we already talked about was the caste system. This was your class or group in Hindu society. There are four main classes. You see here, there's actually five listed, and there's a reason for that. But four main classes are the Brahmins at the top of the society. They're the upper class, the priests and religious scholars. Then you have rulers and warriors with the Kshatriyas. The Vaishyas are the merchants, and then the Sudras are the servants. And now the untouchables are actually so low, they're not even considered a class. That's why there's five listed here. They're actually not even considered a place in society. They are seen as the dirt below the feet of the rest of society. And each class has their own duties, like we talked about previously in the lesson. So here's a little diagram of this. You can see we have the gods at the very top, and then down the Brahmin, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, and then the untouchables. They are the lowest of the low, the outcasts. All right. And with these classes, understand that you are expected to socialize, marry, work with your caste. You know, it would not be seen as acceptable for a Brahmin to go and work with or socialize or be friends with a Vaishya. This determines a lot about your life in Hindu society. You know, if you're a Sudra, you wouldn't be able to go and marry a Vaishya. You may think, well, what if they fall in love? No, it's not like that. This is in Indian and Hindu society. You are expected to only go and socialize, work with your caste. All right. And so, for example, if a Vaishya was walking by an untouchable in the street, they would avoid them. They would act like they're not even there. They would literally walk around them. So their lowly, dirty is seen as their duties. They avoid them as much as possible, and they live in their own neighborhoods. A lot of you are probably thinking, well, how do they know someone's an untouchable? Well, you people, they congregate within their caste, their place in society. And once you're born in your caste, you cannot change it. You can only marry within your caste, and reincarnation, we'll get to that, plays a large role in this. So, you know, you think of the United States, we go and, you know, if someone's in a low class, if someone's born into poverty, well, if you work hard, you go and get a scholarship, you get a degree, and you can move yourself up. You can go and get an education and move up in society. That's possible in our society. The opposite's also possible. If you're rich and you waste all your money and make poor decisions, well, you can move down in society. In Hindu society, that is not the case. When you're born into that caste, That's your caste for life. So, five basic beliefs. We have the Brahmin. That's the name for the superpower or divine force that's greater than all other deities. It exists forever. Everything else in the world changes, things like seasons passing, but not the Brahmin. Hinduism sees time as like a spinning wheel, and Brahmin are constantly creating, destroying, and recreating the universe. Everything in the world is part of the Brahmin, even the human soul. Through their souls, people are connected to the Brahmins. This is one of the very basic beliefs of Hinduism: is this belief in a supreme or divine force that is constantly moving things forward. Hinduism is polytheistic, which means that they believe in many gods. And so it's one of the largest, it is the largest polytheistic religion in the world today. And so we have many deities in Hinduism that are worshipped as part of the sacred text, the Ramayana. All the deities were different faces of the Brahmin. So some important deities or gods: Indra, Brahma, Vishnu preserves the universe, Shiva destroys the universe. So there are a number of these very important gods, these polytheistic gods. And you think of a lot of the other major world religions, things like Islam, Christianity, Judaism. They are monotheistic, one God. So with these deities, we have them described in the Ramayana as these heroic deities battling evil. Things like, a lot of the holidays and festivals are inspired by these deities in the Ramayana. Dharma is this other very important idea of Hinduism. It stands for law, obligation, and duty. I was mentioned in the video you watched earlier today. And each social class had its own dharma. It's the way of one's kind, as it says right here. So it's your place in society. It's the way you are expected to live. And society is in harmony if everyone follows the dharma in their varna. So essentially, this is saying that society works best if everyone follows their role in society. Even if that role is as an untouchable, they have an important place in society, and society works best, the world works best if everyone follows their role. Right, and there's this belief in nonviolence as well. All life forms have a soul, and in order to respect that, some examples of this include the cow. The cow provides things like milk and butter. And so after death, their skin can be turned into clothing with leather. So they're taught not to kill them. This is why many Hindus are vegetarian, and many Hindus believe in kind of the cow, leaving them to be. We think in the United States, beef is one of the main sources of protein, but in India, cows are allowed to just wander the streets and are not to be killed or eaten, because, again, you're supposed to respect all forms of life and avoid doing them harm. Now, this is really important to understanding Hinduism: is karma. And you may have heard of karma, which is, what you do a good deed and then good will come to you, or you do a bad deed and then bad things will come to you. You may think of, karma in your own life. If you're going and you do something bad to your sibling, and then later on you trip and fall. Well, that was karma. You got what was coming to you. Karma is a really important idea in Hinduism. It explains the importance of living according to your way of life, what your job is. And it decides what happens to you after death. Karma is really important in tying into what's called reincarnation. Reincarnation is this belief that your soul has many lives. When you die, you are reborn into a new body. And this is essential. Which body you are reborn into depends on your karma. All right. So if you live a good life, if you lived well, that's how you are born into a higher class. If you were bad, you could be reborn into a lower class. And you could even be reborn so bad as to be an animal or an insect. So this is really important to understand. Your karma, your actions determine where you will be reborn in your next life. Okay. And so that's why, even if you're an untouchable, you think, well, I deserve this. I must have done something in my last life to be reborn in a lower caste. Or if you're, a Brahmin, you may think, wow, I deserve this. I must have done a really good thing to be reborn in a high class. And you may you may think to yourself, well, why do they listen to this? Why do they go, if you're an untouchable, why do I listen to it? It's because with this system of karma and reincarnation, think about it. Whose fault is it that you're living as an untouchable? It's your own in this system because you must have done something in your life to have that karma to be reborn in a lower caste. And so this is also why, yes, oh man, it must. I really don't like that I was reborn as a an untouchable. My life is very difficult. Well, what I need to do is I just need to be the best untouchable I can be. That way, maybe in my next life, I can be reborn into a higher caste. The way karma and reincarnation works together is essential to understanding Hindu beliefs. Right, so souls are rewarded or punished for the good or bad people have done in their lifetime. This is important. You can't move up or down in your social class in your lifetime. Karma explains why people have certain classes in society and reflects what they have done in their past. So the last part here is going to be about samsara. And samsara is just this continuous cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. And samsara ends when the soul escapes from this unending cycle that you're stuck in, birth, death, rebirth. And samsara is the end of that, breaking away. And it takes many lifetimes to be released from samsara. You can escape it, the cycle of rebirth or reincarnation, by following the basic steps of Hinduism, balancing your karma with good actions, following dharma, strive for personal connections with the Brahman, and worship the Brahman and other deities that respect aspects of him. So you break through this never ending cycle by essentially following your karma and your place in society. And it's connected by the Brahmin by going on things like Hindu pilgrimages, going to the Ganges, which is seen as a goddess itself, the Ganges River, and cleansing their sins. It's the holiest places in India today, and it's why we have a 1/10 of the entire world's population lives along the Ganges River for this reason. 1 in every 10 human beings lives there. And they bathe in the water as an act of devotion and purification. Even today, if a Hindu person dies in the United States, it is seen as the expectation that their ashes be spread in the Ganges River.